Hi, this is John Edmund here, the Executive Director of the Apartment Association of California's Southern Cities, with our second installment. You guys are like making records here for the official California Apartment Journal. That's the podcast. So we've had this publication for 100 plus years along with the organization, and we're moving from a print version now to a digital version. So we're really excited to have you guys on. Kaitlyn and Daniel, tell us about your company and a little bit about yourselves.
Well, we represent PuroClean of Rowland Heights. We are the #1 PuroClean in Southern California. So we also like to call ourselves PuroClean of Southern California. We have 24/7 services, free inspections. Because we are #1 in Southern California, that gives us also domain of Southern California. We provide services with everything that's property damage related. We consider ourselves the paramedics of property damage, right? Mm-hmm. You have paramedics show up on the scene when there's an emergency. Same sense, but anytime you have a residential property, commercial property, any sort of property, we show up and we help remediate the damage, help you out. If it's something that maybe we need to outsource, so we find different people we partner with, but overall just like a one-stop shop for property damage.
And what is your role at the company?
I am in charge of marketing and then everything that's client relations, business development. So just putting ourselves out there. I'm one of the first points of contact that people will discover. And then Daniel will be the one that actually goes on and does the inspections. He knows homes in and out.
It's spotted from a mile away.
Yes. You can call him on the phone and say, I have a leak here. He's just like, oh, this, and this needs to happen. I just like to talk to people and let them know about our company. And then I'll tell them we have a really cool tech that's going to go out to your house, and he'll take it away from there.
That's awesome. Daniel, so you're the field operative. You're the general on the ground.
Daniel Romero. I've been in this industry for about 21 years now. Started off at ProTech Construction, moved my way up there through different franchise. Now landed at PuroClean, made this my home. I'm in charge of operations, the daily activities of all the crews, from our demolition crews to our packing crews. I myself still go out there out in the field and inspect and take a look at everything, see what's going on, what needs to be done. So I run the day-to-day operations. I'm in charge of everyone out in the field, making sure that the customers are happy. If something's going wrong out in the field, making sure that that's taken care of. I concentrate more on dealing with insurance adjusters, whether it be residential or commercial, but adjusters is one of my main point of contacts when it comes to bringing work to our company.
Does that mean so the insurance company would hire you to go out and make the assessment for them on the damages, or are you more on the housing provider side, discussing what the damage is for the insurance company to cover, or is it somewhere in between both?
So we get called out by the insurance, but a lot of misconception. People think that when we get out there, we're only looking for the insurance's benefit. Right. We are looking for the homeowner's benefit. I want to make sure I do my job right, make sure that whatever needs to happen at the property is going to be taken care of properly, and that the customer understands that, and the insurance understands that. Whether coverage is not my decision, that's between the insurance and the homeowner, but we want to make sure we let the homeowner know what exactly needs to happen, and that way everything's properly taken care of at their home. There's a lot of times where, it's not their home, but their second home, or they own multiple homes and they have tenants at the property. A lot of the times, we go into a home, we find out that there's things that have been going on for quite some time. The tenants tend not to provide that information to the homeowner. So we want to try to help out the homeowner on guiding them in the right direction on how to handle when this situation does arise, when they have, whether it be water damage, fire, mold, any scenario. So
I think, certainly I have some of the core services here, and I'd like to go over them with you in a moment. But I think something, if I can impart on housing providers, and what we try and tell them all the time is, deal with the problems before they become big problems. And when a big problem occurs, have your number handy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of things that they do in those first few hours will really mitigate what the damage and loss will be in the long run, right? So don't wait for the adjuster to come out. Don't wait for, you got to mitigate, get a handle on the situation, document as you go, right? So take pictures, establishing pictures, get you guys in there to do an assessment, and really start that mitigation process. Because I think, insurance conversations will happen, right? And you can, there's a little bit of back and forth, right? But that's to your point, that's between you and the insurance company. But getting you guys in there right away so you can start mitigating for the damages is key, and will save them money, time, and headache in the long run.
Like you mentioned, documenting all of that for not only for their benefit, but for whatever they end up deciding to do with the insurance. So it helps them in the long run, especially, make sure that everything's mitigated properly with the tenant, so that way they don't have problems later on, like secondary issues like mold, where the tenant would try to bring that up.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned this sort of in our pre-recording. I was a college student and I rented properties, and I had property owners who literally worked in the garage on site and was doing like woodwork, and I'd go over and talk to them, and like we developed a friendship. And then there were property owners that like I was afraid to talk to them, right? And just because they probably have heard one story, one too many, and they're just kind of like, hey, I'm going to create a boundary between me and when I was a tenant. As a housing provider, though, I always tell people it goes so much just to like welcome them to their property, have that rapport, have that communication. The reason why is because you want to hear about that leaky faucet or not getting enough ventilation in the bath. I cannot tell you how many times we've had classes where there's like some like experts like there needs to be appropriate ventilation in bathrooms or you're going to see issues, right? And having you guys being able to come in and do that assessment and that work early in that process really kind of helps the housing provider protect their investment, make sure they don't have any issues with their tenants. What would you say if you could waive, based on all the stuff you see in your experience, Daniel and Kaitlyn, what would you say if you were to give like, here's my top advice I would give housing providers from your lens, from your paradigm? Because, literally, if you are the paramedics of property damages, that means that there's an emergency, it's material and substantial, and you're getting in there as a 911 type of situation and mitigating casualty and property damage and property loss. Those that do it right and those that have maybe come in a little bit less, see less of a problem, what would you say is something that housing providers should think about as they deal with it? Obviously calling you right away, but what would be something else that they could help with? Preventative.
Yeah, I mean, preventative, educating the tenants on whether, who to call, when to call. That way you can prevent this situation where later down the road you have that. You don't want to get that call when they have mold. You want to call, well, hey, it just started to leak. So anything that they can do to prevent that. So that's going to help them in the long run. Depending on the location, sometimes I don't know if they have like a place where they can post up, in case of this scenario, call this person, or this scenario, call that person. Or if there's like a property manager that they deal with. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that they can prevent and all of this going, real bad. It's just educating the tenants on how to handle those situations.
I think what I'm hearing from you is build that rapport and relationship where there's honest communication and dialogue.
Yep, and transparent.
And being transparent. And I think one of the issues that I hear often from housing providers is a tenant that is a nuisance tenant because they call a lot. And I find that interesting because I always tell them, like, you have to hit the reset button every time, because it's like they might be calling, where there's a nothing burger, but you went out, you documented, you were responsive, you kind of closed the case out, nothing more there. But the one time that the tenant does call where there is an issue, you want to be in there. You want to be taking care of the issue. You don't want to have this latency or hesitation that occurs. So I always tell folks that you might have a pesky tenant that calls a lot, but you never know if that last call is one that's actually like material and real, and you're like, I'm really glad I got that phone call.
Exactly. I think also, to build upon what you said, the relationship is important, because if you do have that fear of the property manager, or you don't have that open line of communication, it leaves a lot of space for ignoring things. I have a water leak. I don't want to bother, so I'm just going to let it go. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, my wall is deteriorating.
Right. So you come in there and you're like, did you know about this? He's like, wow, it could have been better if it had been earlier. So speaking of that, so water damage and mitigation. So that's exactly like if there's a leak somewhere in the pipes, or there's a wall and you have those like readers to find if there's moisture behind.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an area of mitigation that you guys provide services for.
Correct. Yeah. Our inspections are free. We go in there. Whether it be...
Wait, hang on. You said what for free?
All our inspections are free.
Oh, my members will like that. Okay. So call and verify, and then you can build up a quote. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Go out there, take a look, see if there's actually any damage. I mean, sometimes when we get out there's actually nothing that's going on. But like I said, you want to go out there, make sure to prevent any of that. So we go out there, to them it may have been something big, when we get there and it's nothing, but it gives them a peace of mind.
We have a couple cases where someone will call because they smell mildew, and they just need to know the proper way to, open the window when they shower, turn the fan on.
That ventilation I'm telling you about. I've heard so many webinars and seminars where it's like, open the window, turn on the fan.
And they're freaking out. They're like, oh my God, God, like all this is happening. And then we're like, okay, you open this window. Yeah. This is the light
Oh my
switch.
goodness. I don't have that smell anymore. Okay. Fire and smoke remediation. So it says here, it's odor removal and structural restoration. So is this when you see like a structure fire or an adjacent building is on fire and the smoke comes in and then you can kind of clean it up, the unit, so that it doesn't have that constant smell?
That could be one. Another, I mean, there's different types of fire.
What's most common, I guess?
The most common are grease fires, I think. People burning food.
Yeah.
And that, it's pretty strong odor, fills up the house pretty quickly. And that's, I guess, another good thing, maybe where that's something that can be explained to tenants on how to properly put out a grease fire. Because sometimes...
The blanket, you mean? The blanket that's supposed to be in one of the cabinets that's never there when you need it?
I mean, yeah, because if not, you see those worst case scenarios.
Oh, I've seen it.
They throw water on it.
Or they fan it and then it goes everywhere.
Yeah, but that's an interesting... I think you're right. I think it's interesting. We've actually thought about doing tenant classes where, as part of like, when people sign their lease, they watch a 15-minute video that kind of goes over some of this stuff and making sure that the housing provider provides the minimum. And maybe there's minimum, which is smoke detectors. Having a blanket, though, is not a bad investment, right? One of those where you just throw it on, it eviscerates the fire and it mitigates the losses. But so you see a lot of grease fires from the kitchen, or like the walk away where they put something on and it's boiling and it's, smoke implodes, and then they're like in the shower and they're like, oh wait, I left the spaghetti on.
It's a personal experience. It's happened to me, my wife and I. I blame her, she blames me.
Sure. Good luck with you. Good luck with that. I don't think it's going to work out.
No. I'm on her side.
Yeah, I'm already on her side. No, just kidding.
So one night she asked me to put the pot of beans to reheat. I went on, put the pot on, or started the pilot. I assumed my wife was going to look after it after.
Yeah.
I walked away from it and I assumed she was going to take care of it. We actually were renters at that time. We were a 3-bedroom condo on the second floor. Our master bedroom was at the far end, and around 2 a.m, I wake up.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That was around 8
Daniel,
p.m. when
that
happened.
You're making my heart jump right there.
Yeah.
Wow.
2 a.m, I wake up coughing. Where's all this smoke coming from? So I get up, walk around. I'm like, okay, I check my kids' rooms, nothing. I have a son and daughter. They were little at that time. Run in there, go. I didn't even bother to check the kitchen. Walked outside. I was like, okay, there's a fire somewhere. Run back in.
It's in my home.
Yeah. But I mean, they're all connected. It's a condo complex. So I run back into my wife, wake her up. Hey, we got to get out. There's a fire. And that's when she's like, the beans. And I'm like, oh, So I run to the kitchen, and sure enough, that the pot's on fire. Yeah. So got some gloves.
Like the oven mitts?
The oven mitts, yeah.
Took that thing off, went outside, put water on it. I mean, it was just, they were burnt to a crisp.
I think it happens to everyone once, right? Like,
I think he's an extreme level.
He's an extreme example, but it happens. But look, I think, to your point though, it can happen to anybody. And I think that certainly I'm sure that kitchen smelt a little something for a while.
The entire house.
Yeah. So you guys resolve that. So if there's smoke damage from cooking or leaving the pot on, if you will. Now I see here mold remediation. Now what we like to say is it's mildew until it's proven mold, right? Like, so I always like to tested. Well, that's the thing. So I think what and this is part of the language, right? So mildew is materially and substantially different from mold. Mold is a whole other can of potatoes, but does need to be dealt with appropriately. Like it certainly is like, there's no mold here. It's like this black, thing crawling up the wall. Chances are that's mold, right? Yeah. It's not mildew. But in many bathrooms, because of the ventilation, you'll get like that, you'll get mildew. I mean, it does occur, and people think it's mold. And then there's like, it's people showing up in the hazmat suits and
it's black mold and it's the end of the world.
Right. It's the end of the world. It's going to cost me $1 million to fix it, when of course it's cheaper to fix it early than later, when it's like in the walls and spreading and people are getting sick and all that sort of stuff. So mold, mildew, how do you guys deal with that? Do you come out and you can, because of your years of experience, you can kind of pretty much have like the 88% detection just based on appearance and where it is and how it's manifest and the smell? Or is it always one of those things where you have to get it tested, you have to kind of go through those steps before remediation can begin? I
think it depends on the scenario. I mean, first we want to see what's causing it, see if there's an ongoing leak, or if it's something, like you said, just poor ventilation.
Right.
Because sometimes when it's poor ventilation, that's a really simple cleanup.
Sure.
Now, if they have if we see an extensive amount of mold and it's actually wet still, that means, okay, there's something that's causing this. We need to find out what's going on. Sometimes it's as simple as the angle stop to the toilet has a leak, and it's continuously leaking. It's a slow leak, and that's why the wall has been getting wet. Mold is now growing. So if that's the scenario, depending on the tenants, sometimes we have to end up asking or pushing for an industrial hygienist to go out, do a test just to confirm what kind of mold is there. Sometimes there is no bad mold there. A lot of people don't understand that we're constantly breathing in mold spores.
That's right.
All the time.
It's normal, but it's, Justice Scalia, and I'm a little nerd when it comes like this. He's like, what is obscenity? It's like, I know it when I see it. It's sort of the same thing, right? I mean, you know it when you see it. You can smell it. It's pretty evident that it's there, but that's great. And then biohazard trauma cleanup. And I have here sewage and crime scenes. So tell me, is there a story there that you can share? I'm assuming, look, it happens, and these could be pretty, well, let's just say shocking and terrible. But the point is, you guys take care of that, right? You can lawfully take care of it. It's not like I call you, hey, I got a problem. Come spill on aisle 3, come clean it up and don't say a word. But like something happens, you can go in and take care of it, as sad as it might be, or a situation, right?
Yes.
Those are the toughest ones that I've ended up having to go to.
Sure.
There's some sad situations where there's no family member alive anymore. And
I believe it.
They just need us to take care of
everything else. Yeah.
So, and then there's situations where we have to talk to the family member, and it's not easy explaining to a family member that we have to clean up.
Sure.
So, and what we have to do in the process.
Yeah.
So that's always a touchy area, but.
Well, it's a touchy area. I mean, look, but it's, if it happens and it's on your property and you got to clean the scene. I mean, it's not like, and so who do you call? They can call you. And I think that's important to know, because then you're in that moment. It's traumatic even for a property owner, right? Where you have these tenants, typically you know them, even in many cases, you kind of know there's an issue there, but you didn't think it would get to that level, but there's nothing you can do about it because it never rises to that level. See something, say something. It's just a sense or a feeling. Medical decontamination. Is this like, what is this, like meth labs? No, what is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
Yes. The meth, something that's big.
Like they're growing marijuana. It's medicinal, man. It's not. I'm not trying to sell it. I got it's canopy.
They have 700 plants. They're not trying to sell.
I've seen some really wild things in my time. And I feel so bad for the housing provider when they're just. It's like it's like this cultivation in the garage.
A whole
and
greenhouse.
Like, yeah. Okay, well that's important that you did. Now look, pack out. And, so it sounds like restorations of belongings, protection, and contents cleaning. This is when you're getting somebody out, sheriff showing up, and they got to go. You're coming in behind to clean it all up and stick it on the curb, or how does that work?
It could even just be for like regular damage, like fire damage. There's still belongings in the home, right? And we had the Eden fire, all the fires that just recently happened. Some houses don't burn all the way to the ground.
Of course.
There's still materials there that maybe we can salvage, or, we need someone to go in and clean up after. So that's where we come in hand, as well as like different services. If there's water damage and there was
entire house got flooded.
Yeah.
There's many scenarios where pack out is needed. So it's not limited to what, like you mentioned. There is times where, they evict a tenant and the home is just trashed, and we have to go in there
hoarders.
Clean it up, or hoarders. There's tons of different scenarios.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to say, my father-in-law, unfortunately, was a victim of a flood because the municipality didn't clean the waterways. This is San Diego. And I wish I had somebody like you guys that could go in, because what ended up happening is a nonprofit came in, they just started throwing everything out. They weren't even trying to salvage. They weren't trying to mitigate.
No documentation.
It just, a lot of stuff flew out the door. We're like, wait a minute, what about, and in retrospect, we would have been better off with someone like that, where there would have been a documentation, a process, what's in, what's out, how can we mitigate, what can we salvage, and what's important to us, right? Because we're in that crisis mode. I'll be honest with you, and it's easy for me to opine from Long Beach versus, he had immediate family that was down there helping him, but a lot more went out than should have. And it was because there were no parameters, right? There was no discussion about what's in, what's out, what can we keep. And so that's awesome that you guys do that. And then I see reconstruction and this is permitting and project maintenance and full rebuilds. So you guys do ground up construction as well?
Correct.
Okay, wow. So let me get this straight. So do people use you to like turnkey the product again? So like if it's just regular wear and tear, you'll go in, paint, clean the carpet, get it ready. Is that an area of expertise, or is it more like when you have something that's a little bit more catastrophic or bigger than just like turning a unit over?
But I think it's just we're trying to get more into that right now, where the turnkey. So I think it's needed more often than
could not agree with you more. Yeah. I could not agree with that. I think that if that's an area you want to get into, we welcome it. I think one of the things that we talk about with like, deposits and, all that sort of stuff. I tell people like, look, you got to bake in the cost of turning over a property, right? There's like normal wear and tear. Judges are no longer there really to kind of help you. You got to check the box: paint, carpet, cleaning, hopefully keep what's there, but sometimes you have to replace that. I mean, it's all that assessment. And again, it goes back to documentation, right? Especially for deposits. And you guys do that too throughout the whole process. Yes. You would document all that aspect.
Everything's documented. I think the ultimate goal for us is to become a one-stop shop, right? Providing all these services and then going further than that. Okay, well, we fixed the damage, we remediated the damage. Now how can we help you fix the property? Is there something else or another service that you can utilize us for? That way you're not just, going to all these different people. A lot of people just Google, they TikTok, they Yelp.
Yeah.
Find when, okay, well, they have okay reviews, 5 stars, something happens. Sometimes it's just easier to have one place that does it all.
I think, well, there's something to be said for that. I definitely do think that, well, first of all, your geographical area, you encompass a large, and I think that, for specialization for things that you need, if it's, mechanical, plumbing, electrical, then I get it. Maybe you have like a reason for doing that. But, many of the services that you provide is essential services for housing providers. It's not like a question of, there's a lot of do-it-yourselfers, but, we can turn that around quicker, get you back out there and get that property rented again.
It's something that I'd like to bring up
sure.
Regarding something that it's increased focus on safety regarding, apart from mold, asbestos and lead.
Yep.
There's a lot that I think a lot of people misunderstand that and they think it's not a big deal, where it needs to be brought up or it needs to be taken care of properly, so that way people aren't getting sued.
Yeah, I think, it's interesting. I talk to people, you look at your portfolio and, based on the age of the property, when it was built, there's a very strong likelihood that materials that were used and appropriate at the time, by the way. I mean, these are, building standards increase.
They were the best
at that. Exactly. Asbestos was used for a lot of stuff, but now it's not used at all. So I think, but what I always tell people is do like a capital improvement project, right? And really forward think. So like you can't afford it today, but when could you afford it? Or when can you build into systems and processes so it's like, a lot of people, they don't want to know that they have the problem first, right? So they're in denial. So the best way to get out of denial is come up with a plan, right? So it's like, you don't want to be hit with this when a tenant complains or when there's an issue with testing or some sort of trigger that would require that and it's unexpected, versus, hey, I've got a portfolio, I'm going to start creating these enhancements and these testings and making sure that it clears, so that when you go to sell it, you don't have any problems that you are either going to be found out through the inspection process when they buy it, or that it's resolved and it's good to go and you have the documentation backing it up, which increases the value of the property in terms of it being sold. And I'll just share this with you. Long Beach and a lot of other cities are going through retrofitting requirements. So a lot of the properties, it's still there. There's tube and knob wiring. There's, electrical panels are a big deal now for insurance requirements and other things. So it's, a lot of property owners are getting hit right and left because they did not come up with a maintenance schedule, or they did not create a capital improvement for these sort of key areas for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. They kind of fix it as they go versus sort of having a managed process to roll it out. And I'll just share with you that in Long Beach, in many cities around Long Beach, LA just went through this process for retrofitting, where they have to have steel retrofitting for like the parking garages and, electrical upgrades and panels, and we're moving to more electrical. I mean, even just the, LA city, everybody has air conditioning now, right? And it's like, it requires a lot to be able to do all that. So let me ask you this. So as an operational manager and marketing, you're the relationship person. You're the Kaitlyn, you're the person I would call and I would build that rapport with. What's the best way to get a hold of you? And what would be the best way to sort of start that relationship? So, I mean, I always like to tell people, try different providers. I know you got a guy, and it's one of those weird things. Like if you know someone really good, you don't want to tell anybody about it, right? But if you tell people about it, then they're able to be, successful. That's the other thing. So I like telling people about really great companies like yours. So they would call you, email. Is there a ticketing system for property managers? Are you integrated with, some property management software? Like how's the best way to connect with you and being able to provide the services that we discussed?
We're on a couple of different property management softwares. My cell phone number is 626-528-3557.
There you go.
I answer text messages. I'm very much always on my phone.
Well, if that's not customer service, I don't don't know what it is. So thank you for doing that. That's awesome. That's great.
Call. Honestly, I have a lot of different people that just will text me a question. They'll call me for a question, and it's honestly no big deal. I know sometimes we get scared to just ask something that we think maybe isn't a smart question.
Right.
But I would rather you call me and ask me. If I don't know, I can reach out to Daniel. If we don't know, we'll figure it out for you, give you a call back. And that's the way we can build a relationship. That way you build trust. The same way with, just building up that communication, finding things that we can help each other with. We're very focused on mutual relationships. I don't want just business from you, right? My whole goal is not to take your money, get it done,
right,
never talk to you ever again.
Yeah.
That's not how we do it. I know there's different companies that maybe work that way,
sure,
but having that communication, talking, maybe you want me to go see where you guys work. That's perfectly fine as well.
Yeah.
And then the same thing goes with like Daniel. We're always talking to different people. Our phones will ring nonstop.
That's great. Yeah, that's a good thing to be busy. And look, first and foremost, I want to appreciate you for being a vendor of the Apartment Association of California Southern Cities. We look for vendors that have that mentality where we are certifying your services and we're a partner with you in making sure that there's a minimum service level guarantee for our members. We really appreciate your being a part of the association. We're really happy to be able to showcase you here today as one of our preferred vendors, especially in this category and space. And I think that if you have not yet tried the Paramedics, hold on, I want to get it right here, the Paramedics of Property Damage, you need to definitely try them out. Daniel, any closing thoughts?
Something I forgot to bring up that I'd like to talk about was, I'm not sure how you guys approach or deal with tenants and making sure that they have renter's insurance. So
yes, we've talked about this with our insurance guy recently, all the different types of carrier now and all the different policies. But yes, go ahead. Please talk about it. I'm assuming you're a proponent of it.
You're for it.
Yes.
I see it too often. Worst case scenario, a fire rips through an apartment complex, burns. I mean, everyone's okay, but burns down the entire, maybe 8 units.
Right.
A lot of tenants believe that the property owners are responsible for their personal property.
Oh yeah.
And they're not. They basically lost everything.
That's right.
So that's something that if they could push or make it mandatory to have renters insure for those tenants, whether they package it or they have them, the only way that they can get in is to make sure that they have it. That would help out so much. I mean, it would make things easier when things do go bad.
Yeah, it's interesting. Most tenants know about it after they needed it.
Correct.
I mean, let's just be honest. Yeah. You get a loss. You're like, man, I should have had that. And then when they move forward, like, I'm debit, because it's one of them I saw was like $8 a month. It wasn't even like, it was like nothing. I mean, it's literally, there wasn't. I mean, this was a while ago, by the way. This is when I had hair and I was in college, but I'm sure it's gone up since then. But the point is it compared to the loss of, especially nowadays where you have a phone that's over $1,000, you have laptops that are a couple of grand. I mean, there's the devices that we have in our homes, and people are working from home, and so they have a lot of different type of communication devices there. You got to make sure that you're protected, and I think I appreciate you saying that, because it's just another layer of protection. And certainly as a housing provider, you don't want your tenants to be looking at you for loss recovery when there's a catastrophic event that occurs. When something like that happens, there's a ton of sympathy and empathy, and then everybody goes away and everybody else is left to deal with it, right? The property owner in Palisades, they don't have property anymore. The tenants that live there, they don't have housing anymore. And the last thing you want to do is not have the appropriate coverage for the fire for both the property owner, but also for the tenant itself. And so I think that I appreciate you bringing that up.
We want to be there to help out in any way we can. I mean, that's whether it's preventative or when they're going through that emergency, give us a call. So.
Do you do inspection reports? I mean, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but do you do inspection reports as well?
Correct.
Okay. So I will say to all of our members, at a minimum, I think I've been on the call for a few housing providers and talked through a couple of scenarios and issues where, they'll start an eviction proceeding, and you'll find out later that, okay, well, they feel that it's retaliatory because they had been calling, and there's all these different layers and complexity that we've seen in a couple of cases that have gone through. And one of the things other than like, hey, every call is a new call, and you can't just attribute a nuisance approach profile to a tenant that happens to call you a lot, that's a good thing. You should embrace it and take everything on its face value and really investigate it as you go through. But one of the things that I think, 9 times out of 10 in an eviction, had they just gone through a thorough documented review, right? Whether it's, vector control issues, where you go out and it's not you. The judges tend to not care what the housing provider thinks they saw or didn't saw, but for you, you're an independent third party. You can document it. Here's what was there. Here's what's not there. You went out as a recurring issue. The tenant said something. You're able to memorialize it, like they came back from a trip and that's why the bed bugs came, or different things like that, right? Where you're able to memorialize these calls for service, clear them so it's a leaky faucet or it's mildew, not mold, and you can document it in such a way that really protects the housing provider and the tenant. That's the other thing too, is like if it calls out something and you didn't fix it, then there's an issue there, right? But that rarely happens. I think most housing providers, if they know they have to fix something, they're gonna spend the money to fix it. Is that a service that you guys provide? How do you work with that? Is that is it like essentially it's a report that's generated for the work that was done too, right? Because that you kind of take a picture. Here's me going in beforehand, get in, fix it. Here's a picture when I'm done.
Well, the software that we use is called Encircle. So that's our documenting software but it's the documenting software that we use. We take an initial photo of the outside of the home. We take photos of the areas that are affected, overviews and close-ups. So we want to make sure we document it all. So that's and then we write up a report and we can send that over to whoever we need to, where it'll have a PDF photo sheet report as well as a written report of what the findings and what's going on or what needs to happen.
That's awesome. So Kaitlyn, Daniel, I got a question for you. Do you want to do a class? I'd love to have you guys back and maybe we can do like a class and bring our members in and we can speak specifically to some of these issues that you were bringing up here today. Go into a little bit more depth. I think that would be a great opportunity. And I love your tagline, Paramedics of Property Damage. It's a PuroClean. Am I pronouncing that right? PuroClean. First and foremost, thank you so much for coming today. Really great sharing a little bit more about your company. And certainly I encourage all of our members to utilize you guys and your services, give you a shot. I would love for you guys to come and speak to our members, maybe offer a class that talks about some of these best practices that we discussed today, but go in a little bit more depth and be able to system. Especially, what I really like is sort of success stories, right? Like sort of doing it right. We always hear about the horror stories, right? And I think that what would be nice is if you could come back and share with us, not using people's name, the actual address, but I think sharing some success stories where you were able to come in and really mitigate damages. It's hard to capture that to people where it's like, it could have been this, but it wasn't because we fixed it. I mean, that's the truth, right? Yeah. If you do a good job, it could have been a lot worse, right? And it's hard to explain that to some people to really understand that value, right? And so I think what would be helpful is to kind of have a couple of case studies that we could talk about, some of the things that are relatable, because just like insurance, when you need it, it's usually after the fact, right? And so it's hard to tell people no, you need to be fully insured and ready. And it's the same thing when that call happens at 2 a.m. because of a pipe bust, right? Don't wait. Get you guys out there, the paramedics for property damage, get the assessment done on the phone. Here's what I think it is. Here we go. And then go to work. Because at the end of the day, that will mitigate the losses. Where I've seen it where it's water damage. And if you don't get those reverse osmosis things you guys have and the fans and open up the drywall, air it out, all that stuff, if you're not moving on that within 24 hours, you've got problems. And it really creates a multiplier of negative effects. So I think it's important for people to, when they get that call, the first thing they think about is, this is terrible. It's going to cost me so much money. Okay, get past that. Get activated, get energized, get a team of professionals who have a proven track record. And that's what I'd like you to share at the class is what are some case studies of that proven track record? Because I can tell that you guys enjoy it, especially you, Daniel. I know you enjoy what you're doing. You like to get in there and I can tell. You want to get that resolved. And it's just what is helpful for us to kind of so that when we're ready for that moment. I always think that, in the military, they have you run drills. And they have you run drills so that when the event occurs, everybody knows what to do. And there's no conversation about it because everybody has a job to do and they go do it. And they rely on each other, right? Same with if you're a fireman or a policeman, you kind of have protocols. I think for when there's a crisis for a property owner and a property manager, they have to have the ability to go get it done. And so running through that mental, like, hey, these are guys, because, otherwise it's like you look through the book and it's like ServPro, there's all these other, entities, but who has, where I'm looking at you, Daniel, and I can tell your experience, I can tell your background, I can tell your passion about this. And quite frankly, the fact that you gave your cell phone number and you're like, give me a call. It tells me that
we love to help people.
You love to help people, and it shows. It shows in your smile and everything that you're doing. So I am so happy to have you guys here. I really appreciate you being members of the Apartment Association of California Southern Cities. I'm honored that you're our second guest, right, for our podcast. And we'll put your cell phone number and other contact information on the screen below here. And so thank you so much for coming. This is John Edmund here with the Apartment Association of California Southern Cities with our second episode. Signing off.